Tonight on Elon Local News.
Tic-Tac-Toe, how the ever-popular social media app is bringing the front lines to your home screen.
Celebrating in color. Elon students covered in color to honor the Hindu holiday.
And dancing in Daytona, one Elon sports team is ready to hit its mark in the national spotlight.
Those stories and more.
Elon Local News starts now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at Elon University School of Communications, you're watching Elon Local News.
Good evening and welcome to Elon Local News. I'm Naomi Washington.
And I'm Annemarie Bonner. Thank you for joining us. Tonight we begin with trouble on the tracks, leaving Elon police to respond to what could turn to a catastrophic scene. The Norfolk Southern Railroad Company, who manages Elon's train tracks just outside our studio, have been called for maintenance on 3 separate occasions in the last 3 weeks, and all for the same issue, ants under the tracks. Elon Police Chief Kelly Blackwelder says the ants are causing the gates to the track to go down, creating hours of traffic diversions. That said, she's unsure if the ants would at some point prevent the gates from going down at all when a train is approaching. She says while the idea that ants that weigh a milligram is affecting a multi-thousand-ton train is somewhat comical, it's a major safety concern.
The biggest fear for me is complacency of drivers. If they see a continual problem, maybe getting into the routine of, well, it's nothing, it's probably just the ants again, we're going to go around it, and it may be a legitimate reason that the arms are down at that point.
Blackwelder says she hasn't heard anything from Norfolk Southern about where the problem specifically was or if it has been resolved. Norfolk Southern were unable to provide additional information.
As today marks 3 weeks after the lifted mask mandate, cases of COVID-19 are beginning to increase on campus. On March 14th, when masks became optional, there were 2 active cases on campus. Today, there are 31. That said, the Healthy Elon Committee says they continue to see no evidence of transmission inside the classroom. There continues to be no recorded hospitalizations or deaths among students and staff. Looking beyond campus, the numbers of patients hospitalized on March 14th across Cone Health hospitals were 53. As of midnight last night, that number went down to 21 patients. A number of visitors were on campus this weekend as numerous Greek organizations held Parents' Weekends and admissions held their first Phoenix Friday this week.
The university's calendar committee is currently creating the schedule for the 2023-24 academic year. One group of Elon students is looking to get a new holiday observed. Members of Elon Hillel are advocating to get Yom Kippur, one of the Jewish high holidays, off from classes. Elon Senior and Hillel President Lindsay Rosenzweig says it can be frustrating for students to make a decision between going to classes while fasting or taking the day to attend services.
While we're physically there, we're not mentally there. And so it almost doesn't serve as much of a purpose, quite honestly. Because while, yes, we're being marked as being physically present by our professors, there's only so much information we're taking from that class that day.
Elon Hillel plans to take a letter explaining their needs to Provost Valetti this week. We're following this story closely, and you can read more in this week's copy of The Pendulum.
Video we're about to show may be disturbing to some viewers. Ukrainian President Zelensky calls Russia's continued aggression a genocide as satellite images circulate of bodies in the streets surrounding Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that while the White House has recognized atrocities and war crimes, there has been no evidence of systematic killings for the White House to call it a genocide. Zelensky appeared in a recorded message at last night's Grammy Awards, describing to viewers how their musicians are wearing body armor instead of tuxedos, and asked viewers for their support.
Tell the truth about the war on your social networks, on TV, support us in any way you can, any but not silence. And then peace will come. To all our cities, the war is destroying. Chernihiv, Kharkiv, Volnovakha, Mariupol, and others, they are legends already, but I have a dream of them living and free like you on the Grammy stage.
Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine began, people around the world are watching the war unfold right on their phone screens. Countries with open access to social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube are able to receive instant updates on what's going on in nations overseas. Now, TikTok is changing the content and the context of social media, and especially how people are looking at Russia's war on Ukraine. Our Ellis Chandler has more.
Although TikTok is spreading information in a fast manner, not all of what is on the screen is true, and that includes news around Russia's invasion in Ukraine. According to a 2021 Pew Research study, about half of Americans regularly get their news on social media, and Elon students are no different.
I actually deleted TikTok like last year, so.
I would say I get a lot of my news from social media, TikTok actually.
I get a lot of things on my For You page that are talking about like Ukraine and everything right now.
Elon political science professor Sophia Swimilar says the war is the first time this generation of college students have had this much access to social media.
It's allowing young people to get involved and to learn about what's happening through social media in a way that, back in the 90s or so, we wouldn't know what's happening. And
hashtags like Stand With Ukraine and Russian soldiers are receiving millions of views on TikTok. Swimilar says seeing those injured or fleeing Ukraine in real time puts college students closer to the conflict and creates a competition of narratives.
hopefully that means people would pay attention more and maybe care more because they're hearing about it more. But it also shows that all sides are sort of using digital technology and media to kind of communicate and actually to fight the war in the digital realm, right?
TikTok is even being used as a political tool by the White House, with social media influencers attending a briefing. Its content is also censored in Russia because of a new Russian false information law. Elon journalism professor Amanda Sturgill says people often look at having video as proof that something is true.
Just because information comes from someone who's in a position of power doesn't mean that it's information that's not being used to manipulate you. And so people who give speeches, politicians, important business people, spokespeople, those kind of things, they've learned manipulation techniques to make the messages kind of carry the way that they want. So you always have to think about not just the source of the information, but the content itself as well.
Sturgill says even with its shortcomings, TikTok is proving to be a crucial platform with more than just trendy dances and funny animal videos. Ellis Chandler, Elon Local News.
Sturgill says apps that require users to scroll for content, such as TikTok and Instagram, make people more vulnerable to misinformation because they're processing a lot of information in a little amount of time.
Residents at the Village at Brookwood in Burlington have been collecting items to donate to Ukraine. They've been clearing their closets and filling suitcases with unused items to aid refugees. Chair of the Care and Concern Committee at the retirement community, Mary McNeil, says there was an immediate and eager response to the donation drive.
The first day, one resident cleaned out his closet with jackets and sweaters and shoes and filled and suitcases, and I think he alone donated enough to fill the two suitcases that he had.
Another resident, Lori Gore, helped with packing the items into boxes. She says residents donated backpacks, clothes, and blankets, some still with tags on.
People have big suitcases which they don't need anymore when they're 80 and 90 years old. So they turned in the big suitcases, and we packed them just as full as we could.
The Village at Brookwood says while its residents are just one part of the North Carolina community, this donation drive will greatly help those in Ukraine.
Watching the war unravel from home, one North Carolina resident is finding ways to help out her country of Ukraine, turning her attention to the animals. Arnaya Pengsity has more.
Galina Karpensky has always had a soft spot for animals, saving them through her nonprofit organization, Fine Wines and Liquors in Caswell County, just north of Elon. But now she's extending her rescue to pets across the world, specifically to her home country of Ukraine.
The animals, all these animals, they left behind. Some of them were, some of the owners take their animals, but all these animals, they also don't know what's going on. Why are they getting bumped?
Recent fundraisers, auctions, and personal donations from the organization have raised enough money for animal food, crates, and kennels. These materials and monetary donations are going straight to animal rescue shelters in Ukraine, including tailed hostages of war in Lviv and the Happy Paw Foundation in Kyiv. Happy Paw worker Natsia Abolishva says supporting animals in Ukraine is vital, as many have been in danger or died in the war.
Animals for sure do not understand what is going on and what is happening right now. Animals, in particular dogs, are very scared and some get panic attacks under the shelling and they're quite nervous and it's really bad for them.
Founder of Tailed Hostages of War, Oksana Koshak, said supporting animals is just as important as supporting humans.
There are many people in Ukraine who could not evacuate in a proper and timely manner. Animals are left in Ukraine in the hot spots. This is worth supporting, and I think that every American can join our campaign by financial donation is the most simple way to support Ukraine people and their pets in this hard situation.
Nai Pinksity, Elon Local News.
Karpinski says Fine Wines and Liquors has raised over $13,000 to date. To find more ways to aid the animals of Ukraine or learn more about the organization, visit finewinesandliquors.org.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Elon's celebration of the Hindu holiday Holi, also known as the Festival of Colors, made its return to campus for the first time since spring 2019. The holiday is a celebration of spring, friendship, family, and the victory of good over evil. According to the Truett Center, around 75 students were there when the colors were first thrown. Elon marketing professor Smriti Mohanty is from East India. She says she feels the holiday is a perfect way to embrace the spring weather.
Especially because it's a busy time of the semester, it's a good way to celebrate life, to celebrate the good in the life, because this is what this the celebration is about.
According to the Spring 2022 Registrar's Report, there are currently 24 Hindu undergraduate students. Mohanty says despite the small community, she appreciates Elon's recognition and the celebration of Holi.
As students continue to commit to Elon this spring, the university is able to start compiling data and get a better representation of what the class of 2026 will look like. Our Aaron Martin joins us live in studio to break down the numbers. Aaron, good evening to you.
Good evening, Annemarie and Naomi. As you can see on this map, most of the student body is from the East Coast. Vice President for Enrollment Greg Zeiser says the university is focused on expanding its recruiting areas and is focusing on states like California, Colorado, Texas, Minnesota, and Illinois, while also maintaining previous recruitment areas this year. So far, of the students already committed to Elon, 18% are African American, Latinx, Asian Pacific Islander, Native American, Alaskan, or multiracial. This is standard compared to 2021 and 2020. Of the students committed, 46 are Black, 27 are Asian, 67 are Hispanic, and 28 are multiracial. The class of 2020 is looking to be about 58% female and 42% male, on par with Elon's traditional gender gap, being 60-40 female. Lastly, the class of 2026 is set to have more first-generation students than the past 2 years with 101 students. We'll have more in this week's Pendulum. For now, Annemarie and Naomi.
Aaron Martin, thank you so much.
Elon University has switched its emergency campus safety program to a cheaper option, Rave Mobile. Launched over spring break, the new program will condense what the LiveSafe app and e-alert system did before, saving $2,500 in the process. All students, faculty, and staff were automatically added to the new system. They can choose to update their information or opt out. According to Police Chief Joe Lemire, over 93% of students, faculty, and staff have updated their information.
Hiring season is well underway for the next Alamance Burlington School System superintendent. The board had approximately 26 applicants and 2 received offers in other districts. ABSS reviewed final applications to interview a slew of candidates this morning. Its hope is to have a sitting superintendent no later than July 1st.
Well, spring and pollen are in the air. On my walk to the studio every day, I see the cherry blossoms blooming on my way.
I love spring. I love the 65-degree weather. It just really boosts my serotonin levels.
It's been beautiful. Well, 17 minutes after the hour now, and joining us live under the oaks for a look at this week's weather is Brett Turnbull.
Brett, good evening to you. Spring seems to finally be in the air.
Good evening, guys, and thank you. It is a lovely National Championship Monday here on campus, where I am coming to you live from under the oaks, where I am getting to experience some of this wonderful weather we're having. Tuesday, we have weather reaching near 80 degrees with some rain accompanying it in the afternoon, so don't get it too ahead of yourselves and keep that umbrella handy. On Wednesday, we finally hit that 80-degree plateau with a wonderful day throughout, but just be aware as that weather picks up, so does the pollen. Thursday, the rain returns along with the cooler temperatures, so don't put that umbrella away just yet and keep that handy. Into this weekend, the cooler temperatures continue with around 60-degree days on both Friday and Saturday, with only partial cloudiness on both days, so don't let that ruin your weekend plans. That's all for your Phoenix 5-day forecast. I'm Brett Turnbull. Now back to Annemarie and Naomi in the studio.
Brett Turnbull, live under the Oaks. Thanks for joining us.
Brett, thank you. One of Elon University's sports teams is headed to a national championship competition for the first time in over 2 years, but this time with an advantage. Our Aaron Martin has the story.
The Elon University dance team is set to hit the road Wednesday for the National Dance Association, or NDA, National Championship in Daytona Beach this week, gold bid in hand. The team won the bid in August at the NDA summer camp. The bid provides the team with various resources like discount registration and 5 free hotel rooms. Elon senior Meredith Hertweck first attended nationals during her freshman year. She says the team's dynamic is stronger than ever as they've made their way through the pandemic.
It's been a long time coming, and you can tell that this team wants it bad. We want it real bad, and you see it every day in practice. It feels like I've got a gold medal on my chest, and I'm walking in and like, yeah, I'm here, and we're here together, and we're absolutely capable of winning.
Elon senior Nyla Rivers says the team is extremely focused and motivated to come back from Daytona as champions.
You know, once we step into practice, we know that we have a job to do, and we have that one goal of getting that first place at nationals.
This year will be head coach Ellie Dirks' 4th time going to nationals, but her first time on the other side. Dirks danced at Elon for 4 years and became head coach after graduating in 2019. Dirks says she is grateful to witness the team's growth firsthand.
From 7 years ago, when I was on the team, to now, 7 years later, we have a gold bid. We're going to nationals, feeling extremely confident in our routines.
Aaron Martin, Elon Local News.
The dance team is set to take the stage on April 8th and 9th. To follow along, visit our Twitter at SportsENN and go to our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Joining us live to discuss the success of spring sports is our Liam Stevens.
Liam, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Liam, we just heard from them a little bit, but the dance team just had their send-off this Sunday. What are they looking forward to this week?
Well, so they have competition Wednesday through Saturday, and for the first time in program history, they actually received a gold bid, which they earned in the August qualifiers, and gives them travel priorities.
Great. And what about baseball? I know that they've been in conference play for quite some time. What are they looking at this week? Who is their competition?
So following a weekend series against James Madison, they actually face Wake Forest at home Tuesday, and then they travel to Boston on Friday to face Northeastern University for another weekend series.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how they perform this week.
Yeah, and tennis had 2 games this weekend. What's going on with that?
Well, the tennis team is really hot right now. They actually have won 11 of their last 13 and 3 straight, and they open their conference play Tuesday when they face James Madison.
All right, well, speaking of tennis, men's tennis is on a 3-match winning streak after its doubleheader wins this Saturday. The team defeated the Norfolk State University Spartans and the Methodist University Monarchs. The final score at the end of both matchups was 7-0. Elon freshman Joseph Doherty got his first single-match win of his college career. He says he feels a positive energy among the team.
We had a little bit of a rough start, but we're getting back on track, and we're just on fire recently. And we're so excited for conference. We're hyped up, and every day we're talking about it, getting a little bit closer.
The team is set to play its final CAA opponent, James Madison University, on April 5th. Assistant coach J.D. Shade says he hopes his team ends its regular season on top.
We've got a lot of hungry guys on this team that are looking forward to, at the end of the year, being that last team that's, happy, to be fair, because there's only one team that's happy at the end of the year, and we're hopeful if we continue to work hard that we'll get there.
The CAA Men's Tennis Championships is set for April 22nd through 24th at the Elon University Jimmy Powell Tennis Center.
And Liam is still here with us, so let's talk a little bit about the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament. How did you feel about South Carolina winning that?
Well, unfortunately, I had UConn in my bracket, but it was an incredible performance from South Carolina behind Aaliyah Boston and their head coach Dawn Staley.
Well, I tell you what, I had South Carolina winning my bracket, so I won that one.
Yeah, and tonight we have the next game coming up for the NCAA men's tournament, and that's tonight at 9:20.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an incredible game. UNC is super hot right now, and they're playing a fully loaded Kansas team. It should be a lot of fun.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to watching that one.
All right, Liam Stevens tonight at the desk. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Elonthon raised over $130,000 for kids at Duke Children's Hospital this weekend. The 13-hour event raised 39% less than it did at its last fully in-person event in 2019. The total that year was nearly $350,000. The event was also 24 hours long. Elon sophomore Aiden Bradshaw says she was excited to meet the kids she connected with before the event.
We get to write letters to these kids and kind of like interact with them from a distance, but we never get to hear their stories until Elonthon happens. And so hearing their stories kind of gets me motivated to dance for all the kids.
May be over, but donations continue to be accepted for the Duke Children's Hospital at elonthon.com. Well, that's all the news we have for you this evening. Thanks so much for joining us.
For all the news you need to know when we're not on the air, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
And follow us on social media at Elon News Network.
And be sure to join Ashton Delowy and Baylor Rodman for another edition of ELN Morning this Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Have a great week, Elon.